It's difficult to imagine competitive Melee without Fox McCloud. He represents the game's hand-destroying technical precision and speed.
So I would spend like an hour or two practicing Fox a day, and it hurt my hands a lot. Eventually, I went to an orthopedist and was told that I have carpal tunnel in my right hand and cubital tunnel in my left hand.
He's celebrated for potentially being the best character in the game, while also being arguably the easiest character in the game to combo. He's one of the fastest characters, and his ability to smother and overwhelm is nearly unmatched. But he's also somewhat fragile and can die at low percents. You could call him a glass cannon. Due to these volatile aspects of his character, most Melee players will agree that Fox is altogether fun to play as, fun to play against, and arguably what's most important for a competitive scene's longevity, fun to watch. In many regards, Fox McCloud is Melee. However, there is another aspect of the game which I would argue is equally as emblematic, though one which is less celebrated. One that, in many ways, represents the antithesis to Fox's freeform volatility, his coolness, and his spectacle. Melee at its ugliest. The yang to Fox's yin, but one that we need. Final Destination.
FD is garbage. It sucks. That stage sucks. Especially in bracket. It is garbage.
FD, bro?
I'm going to go over a few of the reasons I think FD is bad for competitive play.
It is very, very toxic and quite a board to play on.
Why don't we just ban FD right here on the podcast?
Right now? Do we have that sway?
Let's get a TO in here. Let's get Blur in here. No, Blur's stupid. Let's just ban it.
No items. Fox only. Final Destination.
It started out innocently enough, a stage for the final battle against Master Hand in Smash 64's single-player mode, hence the name Final Destination. It wasn't until the GameCube, however, that the stage became accessible for players to play on against each other, and this is where the problems began. This stage is, well, Melee at its ugliest. Not because it's buggy or jank or because of any unpredictable stage hazards that might interfere on a whim. A lot of people actually kinda dig those. In fact, relative to all 28 other stages in the game, Final Destination is probably one of the most solid, due to its simple geometry. There's not a lot here to go awry. Instead, this stage is considered bad, for many, due to a more fundamental issue. It takes a beautifully complex game, a platform fighter as they're called nowadays, takes away the platforms, and strips it down to a game of cat and mouse. Or the grabber and the grabbed. For most of the cast against the most popular characters in the game, namely Fox and Fox's clone, Falco, the game is reduced to a lopsided, one-dimensional, one-option to rule them all minigame. Catch the animal and juggle it. Grab into grab into grab into grab into grab, with no pesky platforms to try to escape to. You see, these two characters are what are known as fast fallers. They literally fall fast. And this property, along with their individual weight and high gravity values, is what allows Fox, Falco, and sometimes Falcon to be subjected to not only the most devastating combos in the game, but also extremely potent, evil chain grabs that you wouldn't be able to do on any other tournament stage without interference. For these fast fallers, moves with upward knockback end up not sending them as high as most other characters, and they return to where they were initially more quickly too. This means that moves with relatively weak knockback, like, say, up throws, can be used to launch them just a teensy bit upward, and then, before they can jump or attack out to avoid it, be grabbed again into the exact same nightmare, until they're dead or about to be dead. The crazy part is, the developers kind of figured this would happen, not in a literal this is the chain grab stage kind of way, but in a way. Existing as it is, the most simple, no-nonsense stage you can pretty much get, a keen-eyed Masahiro Sakurai figured as early as before the game even released that such a stage would result in simplified playstyles, noting, "Since there aren't any platforms, you probably won't utilize all of your techniques when fighting here. But the layout allows for a different kind of fun. This different kind of fun isn't too interesting when it's a top tier chain grabbing another top tier. What truly makes it interesting seeing a Fox or Falco or sometimes Falcon get juggled to death is when the underdogs do it. Everyone likes to see the underdog win. That's why my most popular video is my AsumSaus one, and that's why there are about 3 trillion different DK vids. That's why the crowd and commentators sound like this when the best player in the world gets beaten by ice climbers.
He has he's dead! He's gone! 3-0 and a handshake!
And why the crowd and commentators sound like, well, this, when Zane does his thing to space animals.
Final Destination coming out.
Your final destination is where dreams are either made to just come true or to be broken. I can't decide which one. Yes, it depends on your path.
Whoa, check out what DK can do to space animals.
Wait a second, pause.
Yeah, it's
Pause.
always bad to go off stage. Don't do that, Ricky.
Pause.
This happens.
Pause. Yo!
That's better than just take
It wasn't
the
a full wind though. He doesn't get stocked just yet, but finds it easily with that roll up.
June. All right.
This was the only game Junebug won this set, by the way. This isn't just some random tidbit or jab at June. It is, in fact, extremely pertinent to the subject at hand. When you have a cast consisting of mostly underdogs who, by and large, have a nigh 0 to death on 3 of the most popular and most powerful characters in the game, this modest little space platform starts looking really appealing. If you're a dude, chick, or thing who has the ability to up-throw an opponent that ostensibly has a large advantage over you, over and over and over, this stage indirectly buffs your character. In a game like Melee that hasn't seen a true balance patch in literal decades, it might seem like things are pretty set in stone. But adjusting the balance of the game without altering the game is actually pretty easy. You can ban certain characters or techniques in competitive play, sure.
Wobble. Wobble?
But you can also simply alter the available stage list. We already know Final Destination enhances many characters against the most popular picks in the game, but what else in regard to stages can affect the game's balance? Well, let's look at a character like Fox. Fox McCloud, like every other character in the game, can kill opponents by sending them so far off the stage they either die outright or can't recover. However, by way of his up smash and up air, Fox also possesses numerous finishing options much of the cast doesn't. Kills off the top. Alright, sure. All characters are capable of killing off the top at percents ranging from pretty good to rather unreasonable. But as far as Melee goes, Fox is one of only a few characters that can kill off the top at not only reasonable percents, but also percents rather unreasonable, with fat-ass hitboxes to boot. And because of his simple confirms like shine into up smash, up throw into up smash, or up throw into up air, Fox doesn't just have the option to kill off the top easily, Fox prefers to kill off the top. This is an interesting preference to have, because while some stages are ridiculously large and might inhibit Fox's ability to take stocks with his preferred methods, many stages, like 5 of the 6 legal stages, actually err on the more petite side and inadvertently strengthen Fox's power. On these stages, Fox can simply get a character to a modest percent, hit an up smash, and kill. This is the strength of certain stages for Fox. And because certain stages make up most of the tournament legal stage list, this is also no doubt part of the reason Fox is the most common character represented in top level play. This isn't to say there's some Melee Illuminati working to maintain Fox's dominance in the meta, tirelessly ensuring relatively small stages that benefit his primary method of killing remain the majority of legal picks. These stages are just the least wacky, and by that merit, seem the most apt for competition to the community. These stages also just happen to be pretty small compared to some other stages. That being said, it's undeniable that Melee's competitive stage list as it exists now plays to Fox's strengths. These upsides and downsides of certain stages are what make having different stages to play on interesting. It gives the game variety and spice, and keeps the game fresh and interesting despite the game being old enough to drink. It also allows different characters to shine in different ways.
What?
Some characters like platforms.
Yoshi's platform movement is crazy good.
Some characters really don't like the top platform.
Her big lead, and on Dreamland where he has the top platform. He's gonna use it.
Yeah, might as well.
Some characters like walls they can hug. Some characters like empty space beneath the stage's ledges. And indeed, some characters like total flatness against some other characters. In my opinion, this is the most important give and take of any legal stage, because, like most of the legal stage's buff Fox and others who like to go for kills off the top, intentionally or not, Final Destination is a balancing measure in the opposite direction. It puts dominant characters on their back foot, and that's really good for the game. It's good that the winningest, most ubiquitous characters in the game have a foil stage.
Slightly farther than you expect. Yeah, dude. Chain grab. Hey!
I kind of forget he has a chain grab on it.
Yeah. Right? Everyone forgets the chain grab.
Let's talk about the relationship between casuals, professionals, and everyone in between in regards to a competitive gaming scene. Casuals are people who only play the game a bit, or not at all. People who like the social aspect of the scene and the spectacle of competitive play, but don't necessarily engage in any aspect of competition seriously. People who, perhaps, mostly engage with the game through videos like mine and Walt's. Everyone starts as a casual before, if they decide to, making the dive into practicing and entering tournaments with the goal of improvement or winning. Casuals also make up the majority of Melee's viewer base, because, let's face it, not all, or even close to all 30,000 Twitch viewers or 4 million YouTube viewers are interested in actively playing and grinding Melee. Regardless, casuals are important for the scene. More casuals means more viewers, obviously. It signals to people on the outside we have a healthy, exciting scene, and attracts more people as they discuss and watch the game. More viewers attract larger and more lucrative sponsors for both players and tournaments, allowing players to travel more often and allowing tournaments to be run at all. You know what casuals love to see? Underdogs winning. That's why my most popular video is my AsumSaus one, and why there are about 3 trillion different DK. You get the idea. That is why Final Destination is important. It aids the underdog. Now, I do realize the irony in Yoshi's worst stage being Final Destination, but let's not dwell on what's really an outlier. Plus, if we really think about it, Final Destination is still a massive part of AsumSaus' story, as he flips the stage on its head and uses it as a counterpick himself to claim his first major victory.
I think FD's not good, because AsumSaus and Yoshi love platforms.
He loves platforms.
Yeah.
He loves platforms.
When Axe, a Pikachu player, won the major Smash Summit 8 against the likes of Zane, Leffen, Mango, and Wizrobe, his go-to counterpick against fastfallers was Final Destination. The final match of the tournament, the match that secured him his big fat mid-tier W, was played on FD, and that set is now one of the most viewed sets of Melee ever.
Here we go.
This is what's
he gonna get here? Up smash. He's on stage.
Junebug's only win against Mango this set being on FD is not a coincidence. Junebug counterpicked it because he knows it's a good stage for DK against the fastfaller, Falco. It's also not a coincidence that, in the sets following, Mango has sometimes opted to go Dr. Mario on this stage, because at least he won't get juggled to death. Recently, New York Fox main Aklo beat the best player in the world, Zane, using just his Link secondary, and coincidentally, a bunch of Link videos began cropping up afterward. Pretty cool. What's more interesting though, is that you can see trace inklings of this strategy in prior sets, before Aklo would employ it in sets against Zane, like in matches against Peach and Pikachu. Well, at least on one stage, Final Destination. Why? Because these characters chain grab the shit out of his actual main, Fox.
In the reality of a tournament setting, it's most realistic to play Link against Marth on FD or like Peach on FD.
See, this stage can sometimes feel so oppressive for Foxes and Falcos, it encourages people who play these characters to switch off of them, down the tier list. And this trend of contingent characters isn't even necessarily limited to fast fallers. In fact, in a set with Aklo a few weeks after losing to him, Zane opted to go Roy on FD because he was already up 2-0, and Roy kinda likey to FD.
Oh no, up there!
Zane won.
Well, that was odd. That was strange, man.
You know, judging from Battlefield's trophy saying the stage was intended for more serious play, we can assume that the similarly space-themed, purple, no-gimmick stage was also meant for serious play. It's ironic that this stage is, in reality, a big part of keeping Melee's silliness intact. Even when it's not a low-tier counterpicking a top-tier menace, the stage encourages character variety anyway. As I explained before, Mango, a Fox and Falco dual main, will occasionally go one of the Mario brothers on Final Destination because he doesn't want to get chain grabbed. This has led to several situations where Axe, the Pikachu player I spoke of earlier, also switches characters to Young Link, a matchup that would literally never be seen at top level, let alone top 8 of a major, without this stage.
No way.
Oh,
no
they're
way!
doing it. They're doing it for the fans.
Oh!
This is all for the fans.
More recently, we've seen Leffen pick up Sheik for Marth, in no small part due to Marth's strength against his main, Fox, especially on this one stage. In response, Zane had an extremely short stint where he counterpicked Ice Climbers on FD against him.
No. Okay. This is history in the making.
These character counterpicks and character counterpicks are fun to see, and it's something I doubt we'd see much at all if it weren't for Final Destination. Remember at the beginning when I said all those nice things about Fox? Well, I was embellishing him in some regards. Fox does represent the game's technical demands and high-speed gameplay, but in his own way, he's one of the easiest characters in the game. He has options for everything. Options that characters not even 2 spaces away on the tier list lack.
I've always had gripes on like having kill confirms versus Fox because you can't really kill Fox off the top the way he can.
Right.
He does die early sometimes, but he still has one of the best recoveries in the game, and he can kill nearly every character as early as he can be killed.
What happened this game?
Fox players make up more than 1/3 of the best 100 players in the world, proportionately way more than characters who are nearly or equally as played. He's often the character people switch to when they want to cover their bad matchups, or when they want to see competitive success. And it's not because he's more difficult than the character they're switching from. Fox is melee, but it can feel difficult to root for a Fox player when the deck is so stacked in their favor.
Is that kill? Fox is stupid.
Oh, that's stupid.
Compare this to when a mid or low tier, or even just a less popular good character begins doing well. It's a special thing that generates discussion and admiration. Because it's cool to see a non-Vulpes do well. And for many of these instances where they do well, Final Destination is an important part of their success. It's foolish to pretend that Melee of all games somehow loses integrity when a stage like Final Destination enables playstyles that suck to play against.
Don't go down there.
In my opinion, it's even more foolish to push for a stage which lends itself to volatility and excitement to be removed, especially in a game that thrives on the hype of the underdog. So let the shitty characters have their shitty stage. They've still got to fight the odds on all the other ones. And yeah, Final Destination might be a shit stage. I mean, it definitely is. But it is the shit stage that Melee thrives on. And just like Fox McCloud, it might just be Melee.
A lot of people have advocated to get FD banned because there is some stupid stuff on it, but I think it's cool that it's just a different kind of level and it's a complete different game plan you have to abide by, and it changes the game, because isn't that what you want a counterpick to be? You want to force people into some situations that they don't like. I guess I just don't agree with the takes where it's trying to simplify the game more, because I think it ends up just ripping a lot of the personality out of the game. Look, do I enjoy getting chain grabbed by Dr. Mario on FD? Fuck no. But do I think you should have the option to do that? Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think it's a perfectly fair option. I don't know. I think having the variety is good. I think it's just good to have.
Big thank you to 3 rats using a GameCube controller, Alpine, Croaker, Droid, Dubs Rewatcher, Ev McSheps, Fui Pacino, George Bush, GamePlayer 1500, GR Smash, Hawes the Mage, I Eat Sheet Metal, Iltis, Jacko Loves Supporting You, Fizzy, Jokey, Kitty Cat Addy, Lenny M, LRC Napkin, Matthew B, Mayo Neo 64, My Leg, Oliver D, P Jiggles, PM Casey, Rando the Game Guy, Royal Pear, Shep I Have Tried Meditation, Stephanator, That Rack, The Storm, The Flying Fire, Too Many Cats, Trendrect, Tribe, Tyler N, VG, Wyvern, and Yashichi.